morning. Happy Monday, and welcome into the Real Monica Adams Show. Most likely, all of you at home. Now, there are people that have to go to work today. For those, please be very careful. The roads in many areas impassable. Now, we've got those emergency workers that have to go into work, and our thoughts and hats go out to you for all of our police, our fire, our tow trucks, right? MoDOT, IDOT, the city street departments, everybody in our immediate area. But for all of you outside of St. Louis or Missouri or Illinois, do me a favor, weigh in. Let us know what the conditions look like where you are. And if you're in some tropical area, please let us know what the temperature is so it'll warm us up a little bit. I just put the dogs out, as many of you are, and they don't want to go to the bathroom. You're going to have to force them out. Maybe have a little area where you can shovel it off for them so they can run right out and do their duty, get back in. You know, we always say it's a dog's life. Today, they are disagreeing with that. They looked at me and said, you go out there and go to the bathroom, right? So be careful on your footing as you step out as well. Some of you might have ice. Some of you might have sleet. Some of you might have a lot of snow. And with that, let's find out around our area. We've got our What the Weather segment with our aspiring meteorologist, Beckett Moore.
Woo! Look at that 5-day stretch of really warm temperatures. It's definitely going to be a great weekend.
And you saw him sledding on that promo, but I saw him sledding in Hannibal, Missouri. That's where he is with us this morning. First of all, good morning to Beckett.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. More importantly, how are you? First of all, tell me this. When did you leave to head out to Hannibal?
So we left on Saturday afternoon and then got here around 5, and then it started snowing later into the night.
So for all of you, I always ask you to follow Beckett on X or on YouTube. He did a remarkable job keeping everybody up to date as to what was coming into our area and showing you what was coming to Hannibal. So what did they officially get there in Hannibal, Missouri?
So we got around 6 to 9 inches here. I would say we ended up with around maybe 7 or 8 inches here in Hannibal.
Okay, so I'm hearing this morning, I was watching Matt Chambers over on KMOV saying that Weldon Spring had about 9 inches as well. So they got walloped.
Yeah, St. Charles County actually got about the same amounts we got here, so around 5 to 8 inches. And then St. Louis County actually not as much. They got around 3 to 6, but that was the forecast going into that.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. So some of you got more snow. Now we're down south, as Beckett knows, and we got, at least in the beginning part, it was much more sleet. And then I put the dogs out about 9:30 last night, saw just a little bit of snow, and then woke up this morning and we had a lot more. So that's the thing. A lot of the totals that were coming in this morning were from last night, like at 10, 11 o'clock last night. So now you've got your weather watchers, et cetera, calling in to the stations and reporting in. So those numbers might go a little bit higher, which will be interesting to see when it's all said and done what you all got. Here's what I encourage you to do. Write in the comments. Let us know what you got. Maybe go out with a ruler or something, or maybe take a picture for us and show just how deep it is. And then if you are outside of our area, as I mentioned, just shoot a comment in and let us know what it looks like where you are. Okay, so we're going to let Beckett do his thing. Again, we've got snow, sleet, ice, etc. in our immediate area. But Beckett, let's talk about the current conditions and then kind of run through tonight, tomorrow, and for the next several days.
Yeah, so looking at the current conditions right now, we got temperatures around 20. Wind chill is a lot lower, so definitely very cold out there. That snowpack is only going to make it colder these next few days with a dew point around 13. Now looking at the hour by hour, 20 degrees right now again. As we head throughout the day, only warming up by a couple degrees, getting into the mid-20s. There will be some sunshine, but over the next really 5 days, we're not going to see a lot of melting of the snow. Some from just the sunshine, but we're not going to get above freezing. So a lot of this snow, a lot of this refreezing is going to stick around for a while. And then looking at the nightly forecast, 5 p.m., 24 degrees, 8 p.m., 22, and then 10 p.m. getting into the teens, mostly clear. Tomorrow, very cold, 8 a.m., 11 degrees, and that's not the wind chill, that's the actual temperature, mostly cloudy. partly cloudy 12, and partly cloudy at 4, getting into the mid-20s again. And then looking at the extended forecast, again, as we head into tomorrow, only getting into the mid-20s, same deal. Wednesday and Thursday, there will be some sunshine around, but again, not a lot of melting happening. Some snow showers are possible on Friday, and then going into Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, still staying in the 30s.
So, what did you have most fun doing since you've been out there? Because I saw your reports, again, some very serious reports, just so skilled, just like all the meteorologists that I worked with over the last 30 years. But then you were the 15-year-old boy that I hoped you would be, having some fun there as well. What was the best for you?
Yeah, the sledding was really fun, but also just being able to go to all these different places in Hannibal, like the lighthouse, the riverfront, down here on Main Street. It was just fun to explore the town and do different reports from different areas.
And here's what I love about Beckett. So Beckett's with us now for about the last year, and your reporting skills is really what I see has evolved so much, as well as the vocabulary that he uses and then the quick wit. So you you were standing there talking about river cruises that normally take place, and you're like, oh yeah, no river cruises today.
Yeah, not today.
And then I love you were standing up and then pointing out towards what really would have been Main Street, the town. People would have been able to see the river. That's where you were talking about how ominous it was.
Yeah, it was pretty ominous up there.
So when do you travel back?
We're probably going to travel back here in the next few hours.
Wow. Okay. Well, please be very careful because I'm hearing again some of the snow still falling, starting to taper off, but crews are still just now getting ready to start. My husband is a police officer, as many of you know, was expected to go to work today, but they had not even touched our subdivision, and we have this humongous hill getting out. So he went right back to bed. Didn't happen for him today.
Yeah, that's what you should do.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you can stay off the roads, do so. Please do me a favor. This is if I would have been a mother, it would have been the motherly side of me. Text me and let me know the two of you made it home okay.
All right, I will.
All right, and then we'll be checking in with you again later this week.
Sounds good.
Okay, that's Beckett Moore doing an amazing job. Please do me a favor, as you saw at the bottom of his graphics, follow him on X or on YouTube. He does these constant reports. And we also have to thank his cameraman, which is his father, Marty Moore. And thank you, Jill, staying back home. And she was sending from their home what it was what would look like in St. Louis with all the sleet, et cetera, that was coming in, showing St. Louis to them doing their reports in Hannibal. But isn't he absolutely amazing? Just thanks to Beckett for what he did. Yeah, thunder snow, I know, was seen all over the place. I saw Jim Cantori reporting in Kansas City, and then a lot of what people were seeing from Kansas City into St. Louis. Chris Higgins was reporting on Fox 2. My old friends from Fox 2, I was clicking around trying to see what everybody was doing, and a lot of people, Carrie, were talking about thunder snow. If Beckett's still on, or Marty or Jill, he can give you a percentage of the, you asked how common is that? Well, remember when he first started reporting for us last year, they went to Chicago and we were live and actually caught the thunder snow live on air. One of his favorite memories of the Real Monica Adams show reporting over the last year. So it's not, I don't think it's as rare as we used to talk about years ago, but you don't see it obviously regularly. But a lot of people were talking about that yesterday. Linda said we probably have a couple of inches of sleet and freezing rain, topped with a couple of inches of snow. My concern today is the wind. Yes. So that's the problem. A lot of the crews that are out there doing their job, they are getting the streets clear. And then we've got this wind that's drifting and blowing the snow. So it's getting even higher and higher as those numbers come in. Again, the official reporting will have without the drifting. Okay. We have wind speeds around 25 miles per hour at times. Linda's saying power's still on at my house, but it worries me. That's what I wanted to know. So a lot of you can go online to the Ameren site and you can look at power outages and see just how widespread it is. Pretty widespread. And I also looked at some of the maps, and all the purple that you see that goes on a lot of maps is all of the snow-packed roads. Again, these crews are just now starting to make a dent in the roads because of all the snow that continued to fall after midnight. And then, as Linda just mentioned, the winds and the drifting aspect, that creates problems. Now, here's the biggest message I can give you from the streets department. If you can get outside and you actually have somewhere to put your vehicle, if you didn't didn't put it into the driveway or into the garage, or you can move it out of the way of the streets, that's what they're asking you to do. I know on the city streets, it's going to be really difficult as those plows try to come down and you've got the cars on both sides of the street. They have nowhere else to put them. They don't have driveways. So a lot of people used to get frustrated. They would write in or call into the TV station and say, these guys are jerks. They're trying to pile, they're trying to pile the snow in so they have us closed in. There's nowhere else for it to go, especially some of these areas that we're talking about that have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 inches or more. And they're trying to remove that for you so that the roads can become passable again. Again, the streets department, the MoDOT crews, the IDOT crews, all asking if you can to clear that out of the way, get the cars out of the way so they can do their job. All right. With this in mind, let's continue to talk about what you do if you haven't already to help protect your home from this winter freeze, because as you heard Beckett say, the temperatures are not going to get any warmer as far as getting above freezing over the next several days. So we're talking about faucet covers, just one thing that some experts are recommending that homeowners should buy ahead of the continued winter weather. If you didn't do it already, maybe you do it for the next round. A woman who lived in North Texas says she prepared early before the winter weather was set to hit her region. She's like, you got to plan ahead because if you wait, you never know what happens. These new faucet covers are just about $4, under $5 for your home. And the hardware stores stock up on these extra faucet covers, but you got to get them again before the mad rush as everybody goes to the grocery stores, etc. So that's one idea that you can have. And when it drops below 32 degrees or to a freezing point, that's when a lot of the experts recommend turning the hot and cold water on a slow trickle on the outside faucets. Did you do that? If the pipes do end up freezing, of course, keep an eye on it. If you start to see any signs of water on the outside or the inside, that's when you need to call the experts immediately so they can get over there. Otherwise, you're going to have a very serious problem. I just mentioned a lot of people will run to the stores at this point, try to race in to get all of the necessities. Again, we used to say that everybody was making French toast, right? Well, Schnucks and Dierbergs closed their stores early last night. They are expecting to, on Sunday, Schnucks and Dierbergs Markets announced that they would close multiple stores early across the area. They announced in a release late yesterday, they closed their stores in multiple areas. As many of you probably found out if you tried to pull into the parking lot at 3 p.m., they say they plan to open at 9 o'clock this morning. And Dierberg's announcing that they closed at 2 o'clock on Sunday. They're supposed to reopen in about 45 minutes. Schnuck stores in the following areas, again, should be reopening for you at 9 a.m. So all of the St. Louis metropolitan area, if you live in Cape Girardeau, maybe Columbia or Jefferson City area, down south in Farmington, out west in Warrenton, out west also in Washington, and then our Illinois, Carbondale, Centralia, in Indiana, Evansville, and in Jasper, Indiana as well. That's our Schnucks areas that are saying that they will reopen at at 9 a.m. Schnucks Media said that the stores within Union and Sullivan did not open due to their rural location. So it just depends on where you live. But again, if you have to get out, that's one thing. If you can stay off the roads, wait a little bit, though. Don't rush over there at 8, 9 o'clock. That would be best. Also, you're seeing on the screen as far as trending stories that the Kansas City Chiefs released the official inactive list ahead of this Sunday afternoon's game in Denver. The list, not surprising since the head coach announced that he planned to sit many starters. Inactive players for the game: quarterback Patrick Mahomes and tight end Travis Kelce. Again, so that announcement meant that Mahomes would not pass for 4,000 yards this season. He had 3,928 yards going into Sunday's game in Denver. So a lot of people were hoping for that for him. Okay, speaking of the warmer times ahead that we're hoping for, right? Until that happens, we need to do all we can to help our community. If you haven't heard us talk about this, the 25th anniversary of Rise and Shine with Heat Up St. Louis, Have a Heart, Heat a Home. That comes up on February 14th, as we've been mentioning. Now, we are going to give a preview of this on Thursday. We are going to be at the Hardee's location right there at 44 and Hampton. Come on through the drive-thru if you want. But the biggest thing that we're asking you to do is to pre-order. January pre-orders, they're only online. heatupstlouis.org right now through February 13th, $1 each. You want to get one of those sausage or egg biscuits. 100% of the proceeds go to Heat Up St. Louis, the Hardee's Rise and Shine for Heat. Again, on February 14th, that's the big day that all the media will go out, all the volunteers will go out, and you'll see the big 25th anniversary. But from right now until the 13th, and that's what I love, there's all this extra time to give to an incredible organization. heatupstlouis.org. Go there for your pre-orders, for yourself, for your family. If you are a business and you want to treat, as people come back to work tomorrow and say, hey, I wanted to pre-order. I was talking with one of the managers at the 44 in Hampton location. She said we will have some people that are companies and corporations that will order 300 to like 600 biscuits. Well, they are by hand rolling all those out for you. And it doesn't matter the order. They will get it done. And then you're giving 100% of those proceeds. Think about that. $300, $600, $900, $1,000, all to Heat Up St. Louis. So I'm super excited to join our community again. On Thursday, 9 a.m. is our live show at the Hardee's at 44 in Hampton. So looking forward to helping them out. Okay, before we get into the Golden Globes, did you get a chance to watch those last night? Let me see what you're all saying. Pool noodles make good insulators around the pipes and faucets, Linda says. I love that. Michelle, I am going right back to bed after the show. Let's see, Linda, we lose power a lot. The lines run through the woods to get to the house. Praying they hold up today. Linda, where do you live again? Let's see. Carrie says, me too. Actually, the recliner, 2 homemade quilts and coffee. Yes. Today, by the way, on this National Day of is National Cuddle Up Day. So it's a very good day to cuddle up with someone you love. The animals will be doing that because they want to warm you as well. It's also National Technology Day. So a lot of people will be cuddled up and probably on their computers. National Shortbread Day, National Bean Day. And what did we tell you at the end of last year? One of the things that the FDA said that they want to see you get into your diet more is beans. And then it is National Thank God It's the First Monday Day. Yeah. Okay, Monday. Let's do this. National Thank God It's Monday. It's the first Monday in January when that takes place. Are you happy that it's Monday? Are you happy that you're home? Most people are all cranky when they get back to work or go to school on a Monday, but some of you might be really happy and you already get one day down that maybe you got the day off. Okay, what else? Let's see. Who else is in here? Again, drop in any comments that you want to from wherever you are. Let us know what you got in your area. Oh, north end of St. Francis County. All right, Linda. Again, she told us what she had in her area. Stephanie says, I came home on Saturday instead of Sunday. I went to Aldi's on Saturday and got everything. See, you're organized. This is National Organization Month. As we will find out tomorrow, if we can all get out and get to the studio, our plan is to have Jennifer Williams on from St. Louis Closet Company, and she will talk about organization. We're going to show a massive before and after of my own closets as we organize the Real Monica Adams. Poor Chiefs and my Vikings lost also, Stephanie says. Okay, anybody else? Drop in where you are. Let us know what you got. Snow, ice, sleet, how much you got, etc. If you want to drop in any pictures, you can do that as well. We are live right now on Facebook. We are also on LinkedIn, YouTube, X, Rumble, and Instagram. So a lot of platforms for you. And then don't forget, we have an audio podcast as well that drops at 8 a.m. on Thursday. And we are going to have a double for you this week. You're going to see it today, and then you're going to hear it on Thursday. For all of your friends and family that might by chance miss our guest, make sure that they listen in on the audio podcast this Thursday. So we're going to be talking with Dr. Richard Lehman. He was just showing some pictures from Colorado and enjoying his time there. So that's where they're used to having snow on a regular basis. But he's going to join us today and talk about a lot of things from head to toe that bother the body and how we can take care of ourselves. Before we do that, though, let's talk about the Golden Globes. Did you get a chance to watch last night? And how about St. Louis and Nikki Glaser front and center as the host? I saw this from Yahoo News this morning. It said Nikki shows shows how to host an award ceremony. Really getting rave reviews. I had a friend last night, Dot, who you see on the show a lot. She's like, hey, Monica, you got to get Nikki Glaser on your show. She's from St. Louis. And I said, yes, I know. I've actually tried in the past, but let's try it again. She actually said she'd never heard of her before. And she said, well, I think she needs to be on your show because a lot of people may not have heard of her. So there's my question. Do you know Nikki Glaser? Did you know that she was from St. Louis? And yes, let's get out there and try to get her on. I know KMOV, I think, interviewed her family in an exclusive, but they didn't have her on. So Hollywood's biggest stars gathered for the official start of the awards ceremony at the 82nd Annual Golden Globe Awards last night, honoring major achievements in both television and film. So as we run through this, let us know, what did you think of the show if you had a chance to see it? I saw about 30 minutes or so before I went to bed. What do you think of Nikki's performance? Do you think she did a good job? It was a night of huge wins, expected and unexpected, with a brand new host, plenty of unforgettable outfits, stars like Timothée Chalamet, Melissa McCarthy, Dakota Fanning, Zendaya, and Elton John. I was so happy to see Elton John. It was so funny. He stepped out and he's like, hey, I just want to be here, let all of you know that are my fans that, yes, you've heard about me having some eye issues. Let me tell you, it's not as bad as you thought it was, and I'm happy to be here with my co-host. And then he said Rihanna, and it clearly was not Rihanna. So it was actually kind of funny, kind of tongue in cheek, but they all brought their A game. Vin Diesel even was there. He greeted Dwayne Johnson. And so we're going to give you some of the key takeaways from last night. And as I mentioned, if you saw it, let me know what you thought was the best. After racking up 10 nominations, it was clear the Golden Globes were fond of Netflix's unconventional Spanish language musical crime drama, and its 4 wins, including Best Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy, showed that. And let's see, they said that they reported that the audience inside the Beverly Hilton was especially enthusiastic about the film. Adrian Brody accepted the award for Best Performance by a Male Actor in a Motion Picture Drama at the Golden Globes. The Brutalist went into the ceremony with 7 nominations and emerged with 3 wins, including Best Motion Picture Drama. It's also unconventional in its sheer length, by the way, 3 hours and 35 minutes long with a rare intermission. Did you all see that? I don't know if I could sit still for 3 hours and 35 minutes. The TV winners looked a lot like Emmys, by the way. If you caught the Emmy Awards in September, you already know most of the TV award winners at the Golden Globes. Hacks, Baby Reindeer, Shogun, all took home top awards in their categories. Many of the acting awards went to the same people too, like Jodie Foster, Jessica Gunning, Jeremy Allen White, and so many others. But one of the things I just mentioned about Jodie Foster, she got heckled. Okay, I was reading this and thought, like, that's rude. But then I realized, I think it was, again, we're talking about tongue in cheek. So Jodie was treated to a surprising reaction from a fellow star. She collected her 5th Golden Globe Award. She's 62 years old now. The American star won the Best Actress in a Limited Series prize for her role as the police chief in crime drama True Detective Night Country. Haven't seen that. It marked the actor's 10th nomination and her 5th win. As that fact was announced by the host, her fellow category nominee, Griselda star Sofia Vergara, playfully shouted, "No, no, not again. Give me one." Vergara, by the way, was nominated for her role as Cocaine Godmother in the Netflix series. She looked serious as the camera panned to her before she broke out into all-out laughter. But again, as they would, clickbait, having you believe that there was someone very rude in the audience that was heckling her. There's a lot more, obviously, and I'm not going to do an entire show on the Golden Globes. If you want to know the rest of the list, which would take me about 5 minutes, according to Yahoo, to read to you, you can look it up. Michelle could probably drop some in for you. But let me know if you watched it. Let me know anything that stood out to you. Let's see. Let's go back to our comments. Michelle said she saw a number of 18-wheelers stuck last night, 2 on an on-ramp and off-ramp, 1 blocking parking lots. Yeah, that's the case today. A lot of ramp issues. And again, the crews are just getting ready to do their job to try to get what they need done for you. So get off the roads. Michelle says, I've been trying to get Nikki on the show for a while. Exactly. Let's see. Julie says she loves Nikki. Linda, she had a great opening to the show. She did a great job overall, but no win for her nomination. Rose, I had to tape it. Hubby hates award shows. Okay, if you're on any of our other platforms, because right now I'm seeing them come in on Facebook and YouTube on this side. I'm going to hop over here to Instagram. Diane, so happy that Jodie Foster and Demi Moore were winners. Yes, Demi, by the the way. I loved her speech. That was, to me, as I get ready to go to break, my favorite part, but I didn't tune in until a little bit later, so I probably missed a lot. The reaction to Demi Moore saying, valued, worth, I belong here still. There were tears all over and chills, and even coming back to the next part of the host saying, wow, try to follow that act, right? Try to follow that response of winning an award. The series Jody was in was a great series, Diane says. But did you get a chance? Anybody, did you see Demi Moore's speech? If you haven't, I would tell you to look for that one. It was a good one. She looks fantastic, by the way. Just absolutely beautiful. I've always thought she was beautiful, but she's still one of those actresses that has worked out really hard and still kept herself looking phenomenal. So yeah, Golden Globes. A lot of people talking about that today. Okay, 7:25. We're going to take a break. And when we come back, we have one of our dear friends of the show. I know a lot of you on a Medical Monday have asked, where's Dr. Rick been? Well, he is going to be with us. We're going to talk about bulging discs, herniated discs. We're going to talk about sciatica. We'll talk about arthritis. And we're going to talk about some breakthrough things that they are doing to treat those slipped discs. Have you ever heard of spondylosis? Have you ever heard about poker spine? I have it. Beginning, and he wants to take care of that before it turns into something serious, and that all came from the car accident I was in. And again, we're going to talk about some breakthrough things that I don't think anybody in the media has even talked about yet. And then I'm drinking a glass or a cup of this today, so we're going to talk about turmeric and what it does for us. I'm drinking it in our Know Your Value mugs. Do you have one of these? If not, you can go online to TheRealMonicaAdams.com and get your merchandise and stay warm on this National Cuddle Day. All right, Dr. Richard Lehman will be our guest when we return. We are live on location, and this is a really cool thing. This is exactly what we can do from your business. We call it Mobile Monica. You know, I'm always on the move. Everyone knows about Jody's balls, and why is that?
I have the best balls.
Oh my God. You enjoying this?
Always.
Watch this, I gotta move with her.
Orange Theory is created to help people live a more vibrant life.
When we tell you that they have some of the most beautiful sunsets, we mean it. We're now in the brainchild of Adventure Unknown. That thing
Well, he's got a heck of a
beautiful.
story behind that leopard,
I
too.
know.
It's going to be a very dangerous shoot right now.
It'll be
She says it
fabulous.
is. Monica or Mez Adams. How's that
Yes,
sound?
that sounds great.
This is Marianne Graff, owner of Just Be Kind Coffee House and Cafe. And you can see all the people in line. Oh, that handsome gentleman is... That would be my husband, Jim.
My mission statement says I want people to feel better leaving than when they came in.
And you do. Again, no calories when you're spreading kindness.
No calories when you're spreading kindness, especially if it's on the weekend.
All right, well, welcome back. I just told you how excited I am to have my friend on. You've had an opportunity to see him in the past. Maybe you've seen him in person for decades and decades. He's been taking care of you. You can actually go online to his website with the U.S. Center for Sports Medicine. My team will be dropping in all the information you need to know a little more about him. We have collaborated for many, many years in this connected wellness, such a huge respect for one another. And in these pictures, you're seeing us discuss a lot of things over the years, but in particular, we're going to discuss something that recently came about, which some of you actually saw me do this whole body scan. Well, now we're going to take it a little bit further, and we're going to talk about herniated, bulging disc, inflammation in the body. What can we do ourselves before we actually go to the good doctor? Or really, what can we do hand in hand with them? So Dr. Richard Lehman, so good to see you again.
Hey, thank you for having me on. You know, we've been buddies forever. So number one, Happy New Year.
You as well.
And this is a very, very timely topic. So again, low back pain, nerve generated pain, loss of flexibility. You're talking roughly about 75 to 80 million Americans. So, you know, pretty prominent problem.
Well, and we are talking today about all the snow and the ice and people out there that are going to be shoveling their driveways and the sidewalks. This isn't going to be good with the bulging discs. Right?
And again, I think as the weather changes, you know, you have a couple of things going on. A, yes, you're going to want to shovel your driveway. B, you probably aren't in the best shape because, winter's coming, etc., or might not be in the best shape. And C, and maybe more importantly, weather makes you stiff.
Yep.
That weather makes you lose motion. So you want to really try to control those variables before you go out and shovel for 3 hours, stretch, heat,
Yep.
maybe do a little bit of cardio, light, ride a bike, etc., and get a little warmed up before you go outside and start boom with the snowblower.
I love that you just talked about that before we get deep into our topic of the day. So many people are always asking doctors, okay, if I have an injury, should I put ice on it? Should I put heat on it? Should I go back and forth? From the good doc, what do you say?
Well, there's a rule. I'm a sports guy, so obviously we see a lot of acute injuries. And I think in the first 24 hours, it's ice, get your swelling down. I think if you don't have an injury, but you just have stiffness and you're going to go ride your bike, you're going to go work out, etc., it's heat. It could be a hot shower, it could be hot compresses, a heating pad, whatever, but heat. And I think that after we get 2-3 days out, then it's what we call interval, 15, 20 minutes of heat, 15, 20 minutes of cold, and you always want to end on cold.
There we go. Everybody's always asking it. And so here, that's straight from him. Are you still in a mindset? Because I'm thinking back when I was 15, 16, 17 years old playing soccer. And back then they would throw us in these ice baths. Now everybody's talking about cold plunges, right? Everybody's getting on the bandwagon with that. What's your thoughts on it?
Well, I think ice is an anti-inflammatory, and in any way you want to do it. So cold plunges, some of these cold thermal units where you're in for 2 or 3 minutes and it's really, really cold, 20, 30 below zero. I have to tell you that in sports medicine today, high-level sports medicine, the good old cold plunge, dumping ice into this huge tub in the training room, NFL, Major League Baseball is still a fan favorite. And I was just at the Olympic Village trials when after the Olympics, we were in Colorado Springs, and they're still dumping ice in a trash basket.
Really?
And people are sticking their feet in it. So again, you'd think that we've gotten beyond all this, but again, you get your garbage bin or your trash basket, and you dump enough ice in it, and you got a cold plunge, and it's still a fan favorite among these athletes. And when you try to tell them, AI tells us to do 3 minutes at a thermal temperature, they couldn't care less. Doc, I've been doing this for 10 years. I'm jumping in my tub.
What's your thoughts on cryotherapy?
Well, I'm a big fan. I think cryotherapy is the general anti-inflammatory, right? You get in, your head's out, the rest of you are in. It's some people find it comfortable. Some people find it very uncomfortable. I find it actually fairly comfortable. I like it, but it's, I'm in there 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great anti-inflammatory, and I think it's a good way basically to shut down the inflammatory response for the next day. It's not that you're shutting down the inflammation forever. What you're doing is you're basically stopping that inflammation. So when the next day you wake up, you're not as stiff, you're not as sore, muscle soreness is better, etc.
Right. And if you're just tuning in, again, Dr. Richard Lehman, my guest, U.S. Center for Sports Medicine. You've seen him on with me, a lot of the athletes and celebrities. Phenomenal physician for a long, long time. I've sent a ton of my clients to him over the years. They're all thrilled with what he has done. Ultimately, we want to get you doing what you're supposed to be doing. We're talking about inflammation in the body. People think about they're eating. Oh, I feel bloated. I'm inflamed, or my face looks so heavy because I'm not eating properly. So yes, it starts with the nutrition aspect, the movement aspect. You and I were talking before we went on about, I am a huge fan of turmeric. So your thoughts on that for inflammation?
Well, I think we really don't understand inflammation, and all the time, or not all the time, but specific scientific literature comes out, and we see an inflammatory response and a connection. And that connection now is going into this longevity craze. People want to live longer. They want to stop either tau particles in their brain or terminal losses of the DNA, and that's kind of what causes you to die or get older. And so what is the answer? Why does this happen? And then it all sort of seems to be reverting back to inflammation. So anything you can do to stop the inflammatory response, cytokine storm, growth factor, etc., is going to make you better. So let's start with the diet. Let's get basic. We all have to eat. So I'm a big fan of anti-inflammatory foods. Turmeric is a big one. Tartary juice is a big one. So there's 2 or 3 things out there that are very, very good in terms of the supplements, the naturopathic way as opposed to the medicine way to just shut down the inflammation. And there's bad things, right? Simple carbohydrates. Don't go out and have 6 donuts for breakfast and a cup of coffee and think you're ready to rock.
Right.
So I think it's important to try to, and if you go online, there's books written about it. We have it on our website. These anti-inflammatory diets, even though they're crazy over a period of time, they really have a positive effect.
Well, and you're also talking about, again, naturopathic, being as the biggest advocate you can possibly be for living your life the right way. I love the fact that here is a traditional medicine physician that absolutely believes in that marriage, which is what I love about you, from the traditional side to the naturopathic side, the holistic, the homeopathic, doing things that we can do on a daily basis, and then absolutely stepping in when it is needed on the Western side of medicine. But the people who just on a daily basis are in such pain and they're just throwing ibuprofen in their body and they're like, oh, this isn't doing me any good. I got to do this over and over again, this cycle. And then they're not even paying attention to what they're doing on their inside.
Well, I think that's right. So what can we do? And there's a few things we can do. I wouldn't say they're easy because they're not easy. They're hard, but they're very effective. So number one, weight control. We've talked about weight control. Your BMI should be under 25. You can go on the internet and in 1 second, you're going to know what your BMI is. It's not 100%, but it gives you an idea where you stand in the fray. Number two, exercise. And exercise is variable. If you're a little overweight, exercise might be just walking around the block. If you're an Olympic athlete, exercise takes on a different meaning. So exercise is variable. And then it's consistency. You can't eat one good meal. You can't have one portion of your meal with turmeric and then eat 16 things of candy. So it's consistency. So if you exercise 3 or 4 times a week and all you have to do is walk for 30, 40 minutes, that's a great start. And then you can increase as you feel better, as you get stronger. And number two, and this is very important for all of us, is resistance training. You can't just do cardio.
Right.
And that becomes obvious and just more critical as we get older. So when you're young, you may get away with just some cardio. You've got a lot of testosterone. Women have an ability to make muscle. Then as you get older, you get something called sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is a natural loss of muscle. It happens to all of us. None of us are special. It's 1% a year after the age of 35 to 40, and you're going to lose muscle mass. So what do you want to do? You want to maintain that muscle mass. So you got to do a little cardio because that's going to help your cardiovascular system, your heart, have you live longer, lose a little bit of weight, keep you flexible. Number two, you want to get stronger. And this isn't going to the gym and lifting the heaviest thing you can, reps maybe of 12 to 14, 2-3 sets, be comfortable and get into a pattern. And you can call us, Monica will tell you, get on a pattern of 3-4 days a week. And if you do that on a consistent basis, you're going to feel a lot better. Your diet, there's all kinds of diets out there, and you can go to the Mediterranean diet, you can go to carbohydrate low diet, but basically what you want to do is you want to eat a balanced diet, number one. Number two, you want to, after 3-4 o'clock, 5 o'clock at the latest, eat mostly proteins or complex carbohydrates. You don't want to eat a lot of sugar. So sitting there watching slow horses in the middle of the night eating Doritos is a bad deal. That's not a good thing to do. And then the last thing, excuse me, and you kind of hit it, is you have to be holistic in your approach. I mean, yes, you can run to the doctor, you have a cold, you have this, you got that, you're sick, whatever, chest pain. I mean, that's how I make my living. You twisted your knee. But generally, health is an everyday thing. And that's important. So you don't only do it a couple of days a week. You're going to have some cheat days. You're going to have some bad days. You can eat some bad stuff, birthday cake, whatever. But in general, write down a healthy diet and try to stick to that diet. The worst thing you can do is go to a restaurant, look at the menu, and then say, well, I'm going to eat this, this, and this. Know what you're getting into. Look at the menu online and say, well, I'm going to eat, some broccoli. I'm going to eat this. I'm going to really cheat and have a hamburger. That's all cool. But don't just go into every event and then be surprised about what you're going to eat, because that's what gets you into, I'm going to go to the ball game and I'll just have some nachos when I get there because the guy next to me has nachos. That's not the way to do it.
Right? Again, Dr. Richard Lehman, you hear us say this, but a lot of times you have to hear it on a regular basis, and then suddenly it sticks, right? We're obviously right now into all those New Year's resolutions. Everybody swears they're going to do it the next year, the next year. Hopefully this is a year it sticks, and you're hearing us both say it, and sometimes people are like, yeah, I've heard this before. Yes, you have, and it's never going to change. This is what works, right? Plain and simple. You talked about something, though, the importance, and I'm so glad women finally over the decades have understood the importance of resistance training. They're not going to start looking like men. You've got to combine cardiovascular stretching, flexibility, do Pilates, do yoga, combine it so you're not getting bored and see what the body can do. Use all those intrinsic muscles, the helper muscles, the bigger muscles. You don't want to be pulling something, but all of a sudden an injury happens. And today we wanted to talk about some things. When we're working out, what are the things, though, we're paying attention to? Because a lot of people we talk about spine, cervical, lumbar, maybe they have sciatic issues, things like that. So if all of a sudden something like that pops up, well, then is that a red flag? Do we need to stop, come in to see you, a physical therapist? Because some people are a little overboard and just say, I'm going to dismiss it and keep working through the pain.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point. Everybody reacts to pain differently. And so some people are very, very pain immune. They just don't have a big pain response. So those are the people that tear their meniscus. They feel, hey, it's just a little ache. I'll just keep running. I'm going to run my 40 miles a week. And then they come in and then they've got bad arthritis. And then some people come in and everything looks perfect. MRI is perfect. They're in miserable pain. So pain is very variable, and it's not a very good indication of what's going on. It really isn't. Yep. So my rule of thumb is pretty straightforward. If you have 2 weeks of pain, you tweak your back at the gym, you're starting to have some back pain, you're in a little bit of spasm, you maybe starts with some heat, maybe take a little anti-inflammatory, maybe a topical Voltaren, something like that, a little bit of light stretching, and you don't get better in 7 to 10 days, 14 days, you need to go see your doctor. And probably it's nothing. It's probably mechanical. You're going to go to do a little physical therapy. And hopefully at the end of your physical therapy, they put you on a program, a strengthening program. So this doesn't happen on a routine basis. It's not a chronic problem, something that's just forever. And so if you run to the doctor every time you have a little bit of soreness, you're going to spend a lot of waiting time in someone's waiting room, probably to no benefit. So I think the 2-week rule is pretty good, 10 to 14 days. But the other thing is, and you know this better than anybody, there's no way if you're active, you're working out, you're doing some resistance training, you're doing some cardio, you're not going to be pain-free the rest of your life. Something is going to happen. Yeah. So you're not the outlier. And it's like I tell my athletes, if you play NFL football, you're going to get hurt. We're going to operate on you. That's just math. That's the facts. That's the statistic. So again, be prepared. Don't get crazy. Assess things. And then if you're not better in a short time, go see your doctor. And if he says everything's really okay, then everything's okay and it'll get better. But I think there's red flags, and those red flags are the things that we're going to talk about.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, it's interesting, Doc, because people will watch their favorite athlete, right? We're all big right now we just watched all the bowl games. We're getting ready to get ready for the Super Bowl, and people will look at these athletes and think they're superhuman. You've obviously been around a lot of them. They'll have injuries. They're taped up to the nth degree. They continue to play in the game. They play in that final game because it's just, we're going to work through the pain. And then it's the off season of, holy cow, now we're going to take care of all of these things. But in the long term, what are we doing to the body? Because when they are done with that sport, you don't want them walking around like an old man at 30 years old, right? There's a point where, as a physician and the entire athletic training team, that you sometimes have to say, like, look, this is a season, hopefully not life-ending, or I should say career-ending injury. But when it gets to a point that it's pretty severe, this is where you all step in and say, you're not playing in the Super Bowl because you might be playing in your last one. There's a point where that has to be stated to these athletes.
And there's no question. So first of all, you make two really strong points. One is, let's take 10 football players, 10 NFL football players, and let's look at them 15 years after their career is over. Mm-hmm. And then let's take 10 cyclists, 10 marathoners, and let's look at them 10 or 15 years after the career. You have two different cohorts completely. Yep. right? You've got people that, like you said, hunched over, severe knee arthritis, back arthritis, etc., issues that are pretty significant. Number two, okay, these athletes are going to play. A, they're paid to play.
Yep.
B, you're only going to get one shot probably at the Super Bowl. Maybe you're going to get a couple, but it's not an everyday event. And our job is for you to play in that game, even though we know, 100% know, that it's not good for you. If this were anybody else, high school, we would say, you know what, you shouldn't play. And the perfect example is Tua. Tua is the quarterback for Miami Dolphins. This is a guy who's continued to play through 5, I would say, career-ending concussions.
Wow.
Should have quit after the first. Any neurologist, neurosurgeon watching him, what we call posture on the field, should have said, you're done. But the pull is too big, the limelight, whatever it is. But your point is 100% right. At some point, you shouldn't play, you can't play. And I'll give you another example. In the World Series last year, Sochi dislocated his shoulder. Now, they should have yanked him. First of all, he wasn't any good after that. That was the first thing. He was terrible because he couldn't swing. But more importantly, how much damage did he do trying, to play, and then off-season surgery? So again, you're 100% correct. Sometimes logic doesn't win this war.
Well, and Doc, it's a hard thing. Again, Dr. Richard Lehman, my guest, want to keep reintroducing you as all of you continue to sign on every second. The problem I see is all these young athletes that are watching their heroes, and then they're in their little league games, or they're in high school, they go in college. Obviously, the level starts to get different, but they're wanting to play through because they're trying to be tough, because they look at their role model. Well, they're playing through broken this, broken that, concussion this, concussion that. So, right, that's kind of a double-edged sword.
No doubt. And I think that's the worst thing you can do. I mean, they're role models good and the role models bad. Yep. So the idea that you're going to play hurt, and I've had athletes play with fractures, and I mean, I can tell you, there's not enough time in a year of your podcast to go through some of these crazy things that have happened. But that isn't free. And you pay that price. Yep. So when you do that, you play with a broken finger all the way to a torn meniscus, to a torn ACL. It's not free. And the only way you really stop some of these guys is when they can play. Aaron Rodgers tears his Achilles. He maybe would have played if he could have played, but he can't play. He can't walk. He can't push off. So it shouldn't be that your car is completely broken down and it isn't going to run no matter what before you take it in for service. When it starts making that noise, you need to take your car in.
Pay attention to the warning signs. Well, and this is a good point. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Doc is very big on, hey, let me think about this. Let me think about that. He's sending text to me. Okay, Monica, how are you feeling? Have you gotten in to do this? He's been concerned ever since my car accident 3 years ago. I still can't believe it's been 3 years. And checking in on my cervical area. That's continued to create problems. But then in this whole body scan MRI that a lot of you saw over the last couple of weeks, and you've been very intrigued by, something else popped up that had to do with some things that Doc and I have talked about. Something else, as you all saw, was what was this little spot that could have been a cyst on my kidney? What is going on with my heart? I'm looking at all of that. He's concerned about all of that, rightfully so. We've been friends for a long time, but this is the physician in him that's saying, what do we need to do about this? So one of the things we want to talk about today has to do with your disc. A lot of you deal with your neck pain, your back pain, but it's also some things that I had never heard of. And he's saying, well, this is new. These are the ways we are treating some of this now. So don't go anywhere. We're going to talk about degenerative, herniated disc, bulging disc. What's the difference between all of them? And what should we be doing? All of that coming up with Dr. Richard Lehman. Don't go anywhere. We are live on location, and this is the really cool thing. This is exactly what we can do from your business. We call it Mobile Monica. You know, I'm always on the move. Everyone knows about Jody's balls, and why is that?
I have the best balls.
Oh my God. You enjoying this?
Always.
Watch this, I gotta move with her.
Orange Theory is created to help people live a more vibrant life.
When we tell you you that they have some of the most beautiful sunsets. We mean it. We're now in the brainchild of Adventure Unknown. That thing
Well, you got a
is
heck of a
beautiful.
story behind that leopard,
I
too.
know.
It's going to be a very dangerous shoot, Diana.
It'll be
She says it
fabulous.
is. Monica or Mez Adams. How's that
Yes,
sound?
that sounds great.
This is Marianne Graff, owner of Just Be Kind Coffee House and Cafe. And you can see all the people in line. Oh, that handsome gentleman is... That would be my husband, Jim.
My mission statement says I want people to feel better leaving than when they came in.
And you do. Again, no calories when you're spreading kindness.
No calories when you're spreading kindness, especially if it's on the weekend.
All right, well, welcome back to the Real Monica Adams Show. Again, visiting with a very dear friend of mine and a brilliant physician, Dr. Richard Lehman, talking about what the majority of we all deal with, whether you're a kid or you're a senior, all the way running through the gamut. Neck pain, back pain, all the things that it can lead to. So let's start off with this. You've been concerned about me for a while, and rightfully so. Since the accident, we've been paying attention. We've done a couple of MRIs, and then this full body MRI took place, but we've been looking at the cervical aspect. And you came back to me and said, Monica, I looked at the MRI from a year ago to now just a couple of months ago, and you're like, I don't like what I see. And it had to do with what you're called, it's called poker neck?
Well, it's called poker spine.
Poker spine.
And basically, your spine should have a natural curvature. So if you look at the spine, if you get a picture from the side, and that's actually a pretty good picture, you see the spine has kind of a natural S-shaped curve. Mm-hmm. And your neck should have an S-shaped curve. It shouldn't be straight. So when your muscles go into spasm, the first thing that happens is it's trying to protect the disc, the nerves, etc., and you get what's called a poker spine, and the poker spine is straight. And we know when that happens, the muscles are in spasm. And then we also know that there's undue pressure on all these structures. And what are these structures? The structures are, that picture is pretty sweet. The vertebral bodies, which are the bone, the disc, which are the clear spaces between the stacked bones, and at every level, so everywhere you see that clear stuff, nerves come out and they go to different things. They go to your shoulder, your fingers, your elbows, etc. They work all the muscles in your upper extremity, and you have a similar pattern in your back where the nerves exit, and that red thing is supposedly the nerve, and it's going to go down to your leg, your toes, your thigh, your hip, etc. So you got really two components of nerves, cervical nerves, and you have thoracic nerves, and then you have the lumbar nerves. But the big ones that work our hands and feet, or arms and legs, are from your cervical spine and from your lumbar spine. Now that's a lumbar spine, and where that arrow is, and this is a really important picture. Yep. So the picture on the right, you have a lateral looking from the side of the lumbar spine, your back. Okay. And you got these blocks. These blocks are vertebral bodies. They're bone. And the white little skinny thing that looks like a snake running down the bone is a spinal cord. If you look at the little red arrow, this is a beautiful picture. The little red arrow shows that, you know, there's the cars aren't going past this car accident, right? The bone disc complex, very important, is getting compressed in the spinal cord. And the spinal cord is actually, instead of going straight, is making a little bit of a right turn there. So you know that the nerve is getting compressed. The nerves are getting compressed at that level. Now that level happens to be 5, 4, 3, so pretty high up in the spine. And then if you look at the next level, there's some degeneration. Now this is another very important picture, and I would say everybody over the age of 45 listening to this podcast has a situation not dissimilar to this. And that is, you've got the bone that we talked about, the little white cushiony looking deals. Those are your what are called your intervertebral discs. And what happens is, as the surrounding portion of the disc tears, this disc material pushes backwards and pushes on the nerves going down your leg. And I think a lot of people can sympathize with sciatica, radicular pain down their leg, pain shooting down their leg, pain and numbness in their foot, etc. And the sequelae to that is weakness. So initially you have a pain pattern, and then you have weakness. You get a foot drop, you start to lose strength, etc.
So again, we're looking at several things that could happen. What I'm interested in, since we've been looking a lot at the cervical area, now suddenly in this full body scan, something popped up in the lumbar area. And that's when Rick came back and said, have you been having low back pain? I'm like, well, ironic. I was at the gym just a couple of months ago, just got there, was only there for about 5 minutes, and just did my warm up, came over, got ready to start a long row, and went to pull it forward and felt like this radiating pain in my left side. And I was like, whoa, whoa, slowly went back like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. And the guy next to me goes, you okay? And I go, I hope so. And I said, I walked it out. Don't know if I should have continued, but I did, and I was fine. But we got to pay attention to the little twinges, right? Because then all of a sudden something worse could be there. Never did I see, but I think on the MRI, did it show that I think it was L3, L4, L5 area was bulging?
So you've got some degeneration in the disc, and you've got some bulging disc. And what does all that mean? That means that as the disc gets pooched out of the back, it is going to start to encroach on the nerve. Again, as it gets bulged or pooched out, it's still contained, but that little piece, that little red thing, sooner or later is going to break off, and it's going to compress the nerve going down your leg. Now, this is a very important slide. So the normal disc, you can see normal disc height. I'm going to tell you it's about 4 millimeters. You can see degeneration. All of a sudden, you're starting to lose a little rubber on your tire, so the disc height starts to diminish. It's smaller, and so you start getting rubbing of the joints, the bulge, and this is a little bit hard to see on this picture, but again, the white material is kind of pooching out the back, and then as it pooches out the back and goes from the little nubbin to the red, then all of a sudden, that's when it's going to encroach on the nerve. And when you have thinning of the disc, which is the sequelae of degeneration, then you get collapse, and you get, why do we get shorter? Like people say, well, I used to be 5'11" and now I'm 5'9". Well, we're looking at it.
So again, what we're showing you here can affect so many of you. So one of the things that Rick and I have been talking about is this spondylosis. However, and I'm not going to say it because you're going to pronounce it better than me, you just recently, when we were talking, I don't like to give credit to the bad people in life, but the guy who took the life of the United Healthcare CEO, that guy, you sent me an article about something that he had. And again, obviously he's frustrated with our healthcare system, et cetera, but he was dealing with something that's called, what is it?
Spondylolisthesis. So as the joint destabilizes, and this picture is a great picture, you can actually see the upper bone shifting forward on the lower bone. And I don't know if you can point that out, but you can see the top discs are in a line, and then all of a sudden the two top discs shift forward on the lower disc, and that's called spondylolisthesis. And the problem with that is then you start to tent or put tension on the spinal cord. So if the spinal cord runs through that little clear space in the back and you pull one of the bones forward, it's going to get twisted, torqued, compressed, etc. from tension. And so that's what happens when someone has spondylolisthesis. Now, supposedly, Louis Mangione had this chronic problem, and I don't know that that's an indication that you should kill somebody, but certainly it probably was a pain generator.
Right. So if you leave these things go, this is probably the big question people would have. If I get some warning signs and I don't do anything about it, what's the long-term damage?
Well, so that's really a good question. So the long-term damage is progression. If you have spondylo or spondylolisthesis, it's going to continue to shift forward, or your arthritis is going to progress. Your pain is going to become more frequent. Your flexibility is going to diminish, and you're going to be one of these people, and there are many, millions and millions, that have chronic low back pain. And all you have to do is talk to 10 of your friends and say, hey, does your back ever bother? And you're going to get a whole litany of answers. But you see a significant number of people that have quote unquote chronic low back pain. And it's not everyday, unremitting, terrible, but they reach over to pick something up. They can't quite get their pants on. They sit for an hour and they go to get up and they're very stiff. They're losing flexibility, so they have trouble rolling in and out of bed, etc. Functional problems, day-to-day problems. So again, if you start to have some back pain, you can ignore it. You can take some ibuprofen. You can put some heat on it. You can do some things. But wouldn't you really rather try to get to the root of the problem? And as you did, get scanned, and then whatever medicine has to offer, and there are many, many things, start on a program to mitigate this so that in 10 years, it's not crippling.
Well, and you, after you saw, and this is what I love, again, if you haven't seen that show, please go back and watch Jerry G, who owns Specialty MRI. He just opened within the last couple of months. Love what he's doing. I got him connected to Rick, and then he started looking at that. And then that's when Dr. Lehman came back and said, okay, I want to do more of a deep dive, more in depth to look at that, which I just got called. We're setting that up for next week. And I'm being very transparent. I'm very real with you of this is what's happening to me. And you might come back and say, oh my gosh, that's me. Don't dismiss that, right? You also sent this to me. So let's go a little bit deeper into this article. This is the effectiveness of intradiscal regenerative medicine therapies for long-term relief of chronic low back pains. Kind of give us a systemic review of this, kind of, if you can just kind of put it down. We're not going to have the whole thing that we can go through, but what did this study show?
Well, so if you think about it, if we could resolve the underlying problem, which we really haven't been able to up until recently, then when you're talking about what happens when you try and forget about it, ignore, go about your business, etc., then the problem progresses. So what happens if we could treat that problem so you weren't going to have that underlying problem? Not that your back's never going to bother you, but the process isn't going to progress. You're not going to go on to a chronic low back pain, crippling situation, a weakness situation, an inability situation to do normal activities. And you see people, they barely can walk. They maybe they have a walker, maybe they can't do steps, they can barely get up from a chair, and a lot of them aren't very old. So what can we do? So the article talks about intradiscal PRP. We've been doing it for about 6 years. We were probably in the top 4 or 5 in the country to start this, and it started in Japan. And platelet-rich plasma, which we have discussed before, is a process where we take your blood. We're trying to get cytokine storm. We're trying to get the things that heal. What heals your skin? What heals your back? What heals your bone when it breaks? And they're called cytokines. And if we could hyper-concentrate this healing material in your bloodstream and put it right in the disc, right in the area of the problem, we can change the environment of the problem. Mm-hmm. And the article basically looks at this intradiscal PRP. So you go to a facility, and we could direct you, Monica could direct you. They draw your blood, they put it in the centrifuge for 12 minutes. They take out this platelet-rich plasma that has this hyper-concentrated healing effect. They use fluoroscopy or constant X-ray, and they put it right on the money, right where the problem is. So in Monica, it's going to be 3-4. It could be 5-1, whatever the disc level is, or maybe it's a facet, it's a joint in your back, or maybe it's near the nerve, etc. And what we're seeing, and this has been my experience again for probably 5 or 6 years, and when I first told our guys about it, they said, "You're just out of your mind. I mean, I've never heard anything so crazy. You're going to stick a needle with this blood in your back,
Right.
It was, almost had to leave town." So at this point, now it's become kind of, standard.
Yep.
And we've written about it, and other people have written about it, but it just makes total sense. Some things are illogical. This is totally logical, and it's very, very effective. It's expensive. It's probably going to cost you $1,100 or $1,200, but it's probably stopped 60 to 70% of back surgeries that were what we call decompression and fusion. Take out the disc, fuse whatever levels in the spine you want to fuse, and on with the show. Then what you've done is you basically changed the stress pattern to the next level, to the next level, to the stress has to go somewhere. So it just goes to the next level. And in 3 years, you're having the same surgery again at the level above or the level below. So again, it's called the ladder effect. And I would say if you've got low back pain, chronic, and you've tried many other treatments, physical therapy, etc., and there are a number of great treatments, then this is something hot off the press. You're hearing it probably for the first time you're ever going to hear it, would be an intradiscal PRP injection.
So sealing off the disc so it can't herniate by injection.
Absolutely. And taking all the inflammatory response. I mean, it can still herniate, but you kind of stole the show a little bit. So the next iteration, which is great. You're thinking like a scientist. The next iteration, which we're into, is actually putting a fibrin glue surrounding what's called the annulus. So that if you think of the disc, you got it's sort of like, and this is going to sound terrible, but bacon wrapped in a sausage. You got a sausage, the bacon's wrapped around it. So the sausage is a disc. The bacon is what's called the annulus fibrosus, and the sausage is going to scoot out from the bacon. So basically what we're doing now is we're putting this fibrin glue to secure the disc or to stabilize the disc so it can herniate. And so PRP injection, subsequently, 4 to 6 weeks. We do the secondary injection where we're putting the fibrin glue, and then the disc is stabilized. And again, these are treatments that are, an iPhone 20 hot off the press. And do we really know what the next 10 years are going to bring? No. Are short-term results amazing? Yes.
Mm-hmm. Now everybody wants filet mignon, Doc.
That's right.
They're like bacon wrapped meat. I want a filet mignon. Again, I always love having you on. Such fascinating information. I'm going to give you his website again that you can go online. Give him a call. Again, a lot of you have been in to see him in the past decades. 314-909-1666. I know my team also dropping in information. I asked you before because at one point I thought he was going to retire and move off to Colorado and be there all the time. Then, of course, he came back. He's like, I love it. Why should I walk away? Does your wife, beautiful Michelle, ever say, honey, when are you going to retire?
Well, it's sort of a lifestyle. I mean, it's a good question. It's sort of a lifestyle. So even when we were on the verge of, hey, we're going to move to Colorado, I was still doing all the U.S. Olympic kids, all the pro kids. So it really didn't change that much. And just to be 100% honest, I made a commitment that I would do the 2028 Olympics with Bobby Kersey. So at that point, I said, well, if I'm going to work till 2028, might as well work. I mean, I'm not just going to sit around and wait for that to happen. So that's kind of what compelled Michelle and I to continue to work. And I don't really see a change unless something happens. Obviously, if something terrible happened, you got some disease or something. But at this point, I feel like it's so fun. Today, and I can't tell you who it is, I just got this Major League Baseball player who I took care of, and now I'm taking care of his daughter, who's going to be an Olympic track athlete. And so you do this for a while, and you just kind of become members of a family.
Yeah.
And it would just be too big a deal to all of a sudden say, I'm just going to play Sudoku all day for 10 hours. I just don't know that.
I cannot see you doing that. You'll be like, I'm bored out of my mind. Let me go hike somewhere. Let me go biking. I got to get out. I'm going crazy. That's the other thing I want you all to understand is he literally walks the walk, talks the talk, breathes it, speaks it, eats it. That's what I love about you. This connection that you and I have always had means the world to me. And I'm looking forward to having you back on again. Anytime, anything that's like, hey, we got to get on, Monica. We got to talk about this. Please let me know.
Well, Monica, you've done such a great thing with your podcast because you're bringing such positivity and you're bringing great information. Like a total body scan, you're going to find things that you wouldn't have found. And you might say, well, I'm not having any back pain. But if you have a slow leak in your tire and you're driving, sooner or later, your tire is going flat.
Yep.
And so at this point, you want to address those things that you can address to avoid problems in the future. So number one, I think everybody needs to take that into consideration. Number two, you've just always been in amazing shape. You're a great person. You're a positive person. And I think to portray that on your podcast is really, really meaningful. And I think people need to hear that. There's so much bad in the world. Let's do a little good in the world. And then let's do some good for yourself.
Yes. Yes. Take care of yourself again. And there's only so much. When suddenly there's things that are going wrong, like we talked about today, then that's when you make that call. But again, be your own advocate. Find that physician that's going to take care of you. And I put my name behind this man right here, Dr. Richard Lehman. Love you. Tell Michelle I said hi. Happy New Year to all of you. And I look forward to our next conversation.
Same with Jim, and have a very happy New Year, and thank you.
All right, everybody, don't go anywhere. We'll have more of the show as we wrap up the Real Monica Adams Show right after this.
Discover your full potential with a personalized styling experience. Designing, customizing, and transforming the looks of men and women. Revamp your individual style and embrace what makes you, you. That's real confidence.
All right, 8:10. Did you enjoy that? I just absolutely love when we have him on. We love our Medical Monday. So if there's anything that you feel fits under the umbrella of medicine that you would love to see on the show, do as you always see, which is asking you, do you have topics? Do you have guests that you would like to see on the show? Shoot me an email. I have so many of you that have been doing that for me lately. info@TheRealMonicaAdams.com. Send me that email if there is a topic, there's a guest. If you have an idea of someone that you think would be great for a sponsor of the show to host a Mobile Monica, and hopefully you saw the new one that I put on the screen. Let me put it here for you. This is what I want to talk about right now. We have a Mobile Monica coming up, but you get to pick the date, whether it is on a Thursday, maybe a Wednesday, a Friday, a Saturday. At the end of this month, we're going to do a Mobile Monica dance party. And I know a lot of you say, oh my gosh, I want to get active. I want to be at these events and socialize. Well, this one, we're going to laugh together. We're going to get educated together. So we're going to sit down with the owner of the dance company. It's Almas Del Ritmo Dance Company in St. Louis. Their phone number, by the way, is 314-651-2908. I always ask you to support those that support us. So Carmen, who is the owner, she's coming in with us. We will talk with her first about her passion, her walk of faith, how she got into dancing. She also dances in competitions with one of our past guests, Mauricio, and he came in and played some music for us. But he's also, if you remember that interview, he's also a wonderful dancer, and they dance together. So Carmen is coming in on Monday, January 13th. She will be our guest. Yes, Monday, January 13th. And then we're going to go and do a live broadcast from her studio. And then right after that broadcast wraps up, we're going to dance together. We're going to learn dancing together. So I want you to think about New Year's resolutions and getting out of your comfort zone. If you have a passion for dancing, music, maybe you tried lessons in the past. Maybe you were dating someone, it didn't go well. Maybe you were married to somebody and you just constantly like this, butting heads. Well, maybe now is the time for you to say, I want to be brought back to dance. So the idea is that we do the live broadcast from her studio, showcase the studio, maybe have some of her current instructors, maybe some people that she currently is instructing, have them talk to us about how much they love what they've learned. So she was telling me that this is something I hadn't thought about. People going on vacation, and a lot of times they're going to some area where there's going to be a big party, or they're going to another country where there's different types of dance. And she said people will come now and say, hey, I want to learn how to salsa. I want to learn how to do this, that. And that's for their upcoming trip. So that was interesting. Obviously, people want to learn for their first dance at weddings, or you're going to be a guest at the wedding and you're like, hey, I just want to brush up on some skills. So all those fun things. I don't care whether you're a kid, and a lot of times that's where you first get introduced to dance. I took ballet, I took tap, I took gymnastics, all these things to fall in love with the arts, and still do to this day. So I've been talking a while now about wanting to be brought back to dance. So I'm super excited. That's one of our next Mobile Monicas. So we've got one coming up this Thursday. It is with Heat Up St. Louis, 25th anniversary of their Rise and Shine to heat homes. Have a heart, heat a home. $1. You want to get a sausage biscuit, an egg biscuit. Don't wait until February 14th for the actual Rise and Shine day. Now through February 13th, go to heatupstlouis.org and do your pre-orders for you, as I said, your family, your entire company, because 100% of those proceeds are going to Heat Up St. Louis. Such an incredible organization. And we're excited to do the little preview for you on January 9th, 7 a.m. live broadcast from the Hardys at 44 and Hampton. So excited to sit down with Gentry Trotter. I understand that the fire chief, Dennis Jankerson, should be there, and then other people from the community that all come together to help heat up St. Louis. So January 9th, and then as I mentioned, you got to email me. Tell me what date you would like to come and do our dance party. Get your family, get your friends, get your kids, get your grandpa and grandma and your parents. Let's all be there together. I already have friends that say, yep, can't wait for that one. So info@TheRealMonicaAdams.com. Tell me whether you would prefer the show, because we're going to let you pick. And the reason for that is we want to pack her studio. So would you like it to be on January 29th, which is a Wednesday, January 30th, which is a Thursday, or the 31st, which is a Friday? I'm thinking a lot of you might pick Friday as a big dance party, but I don't know. Leaving it up to you. Okay, before we wrap up, going to go back and look at some comments that people had coming in. I just posted in my post that I had last night showing you pictures of our house. Go to that post. It's the one that I posted last night, and show me pictures from your home. Show me maybe some little videos of you playing with the kids. Maybe today building snowmen, doing snow angels. I'm going to go out and help my husband with the long driveway we have, which I just posted a picture of, and shovel snow and sleet so I can get out tomorrow so we can have Jennifer Williams in studio with us from St. Louis Closet Company. We've been looking forward to this interview for a while. It's all about National Organization Month and organizing the real Monica Adams. It definitely has changed my life. Trust me. So that's on tap for tomorrow morning. Can't wait for that. But again, got to get out, got to get this long driveway. And then we're going to have the dogs out there. So I'll be posting some videos later about how much the dogs are having fun. Lisa from Hoff, very interesting information. She says, it's a blessing you've discovered this now. Yes, and I have to thank, there's 4 of our viewers that have already gone into specialty MRI to have their own whole body scans done. And some minor things have come up. One concerning thing for somebody. I'm getting all of this taken care of now that I'm able to see maybe some early markers. So if you haven't gone in, I would highly recommend that you call them. Rose said that Dr. Richard Lehman was the sports medicine god. Yes, Faith, great doctor, love all the advice. Resistance training after a fall, she said, saved her from further injury. I absolutely love that. So yeah, all these great things that you get from the show. So Medical Mondays, we're going to be talking with Yuppie Puppies Forever Rescue to bring back positive talk time on Thursdays. Her idea was that we'd start back that on February. Wednesdays, we do Wet Your Whistle Wednesday. If you have never seen that, we do that with Defiance Ridge Vineyards every other Wednesday. But now talking about ideas to fill in the Wednesdays that he's not on. That opportunity is out there for you. We're talking about Fashion Friday. Would you like to be a part of that? Fitness, wellness, the Barking Baker, the Generational Talk, all these great segments that we started and we are carrying in to 2025. But again, if there's anything that you would like to see on the show, just reach out to me, let me know, and let's get it started for you. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in and have a beautiful day. Again, be careful. You just heard the doctor say to take care of the back, take care of your knees, your hips, your spine. Shovel properly, use those legs. Some of you have 3-4 inches of snow to get rid of. Some of you have upwards of 9 to 10 inches. So that's a lot of packed snow with sleet, with maybe some ice. Please be very careful of your footing. We don't want to see broken bones. We don't want to hear you ending up in the emergency room. Again, very important to take care of yourself. Now, we always wrap up with a devotional, obviously kindness and care. So on this Monday, January 6th, this one's from Jesus Listen. So my Lord, help me to thank you for everything, including my problems. And as soon as my mind gets snagged on a difficulty, I need to bring the matter to you with thanksgiving. Then I can ask you to show me your way to handle the situation. The very act of thanking you frees my mind from its negative focus. And as I turn my attention to you, my difficulty fades in significance and loses its power to trip me up. You guide me to deal with the problem in the most effective way, either facing it head on or putting it aside for later consideration. Most of the situations that entangle my mind are not today's concerns. I borrowed them from tomorrow or next week or next month or even next year. And when this is the case, please lift the problem from my thoughts and deposit it in the future, veiling it from my eyes, and then draw my attention right back to your presence in the present, where I can enjoy your peace. In your perfect name, Jesus. Amen. Tomorrow when we're on set, crossing my fingers, we will be reading from 100 Days to Freedom, and I will let Jennifer from St. Louis Closet Company pick what we read from 100 Days to Freedom. For all of you that watch the show later, do me a favor and hit hashtag replay and then drop any comments for myself or the good doctor, and we'll be sure to answer those for you. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for watching, but now do your job and share with all of your followers. Make sure that they are clicking follow as well. That's one big goal I have for 2025, and that is to get our following up on not just Facebook, but on every platform that we're on, to grow and grow and grow and affect the entire world like you've never seen before. Because one of the things that we want to do best is to be kind. God bless you all. Have a beautiful day.